For the longest time when I was actively doing comedy, I rarely told people that I was a stand-up comedian because 99.9% of the time, I would always get this response. "Oh, you do stand-up comedy? Tell me a joke." And so I finally found a way around this, and I started coming up with, I would just pick like two random objects in the room or wherever we were. So like I would say, what do you get when you combine a pine tree and a maple tree? I don't know what. I don't know either, because comedians don't tell jokes on the spot. So I don't know. Finally, people stopped asking. By the way, I'm not going to edit this video, so we're doing one take today. I might have to pause it. And I'll stop more than I normally do when I'm walking. I've noticed people kind of drop off in the videos. I don't know if I'm making people motion sick. But yeah, I am getting back up on stage October 25th, and it feels good. I'm doing a charity show. Charity shows are always great because, well, first of all, people typically aren't completely drunk. If you didn't see my last video, ban alcohol from comedy, go check that out. And I just want to say really quickly, because I spoke to a friend of mine after she had watched the video, and she was like, "I'm so sorry that drunk people ruin that experience." So I did say this in the video, but I want to make it clear, like, I didn't let it ruin my experience. It could have, but I believe that you create your own reality. You don't let the circumstances around you create your emotions. But that is a practice. So I may have to pause this, like I said, but I will try to keep the audience in mind as I move through the woods here. There's actually a nice log. I might sit down for a second. Hang on. I don't know if I can stay here long. I can already hear the flies around me. I will get to that in a second. But just in terms of the show, I will get more information out. You know, if it's a charity, if you would like to come support the charity, if you live in Vermont, and it's going to be in Barrie. I've done this charity before. It is a lot of fun. And I think it's a good crowd. So I'm excited. And Rita Marshall, you could probably find her on all the socials. She's doing the show. Hi. Oh, sorry, there was a runner. He looked very surprised to see me sitting here with holding my phone on a stick and a log. So yeah, I'm excited. And but before I get into, you know, why I quit, I wanted to really talk about why I quit comedy, because it does have to do with alcohol, and why I'm so excited to get back on stage. But a few channel updates. So today, I was so excited, y'all. I got a new wireless microphone, okay? And, oh God, that's a weird, sorry. It worked. I had it connected to my laptop when I did a live stream, because it's a long story. Anyway, if you're interested in football, I do have a channel called Dude It's Football, but I'm really struggling with thinking about managing two different channels. That's a lot. And I know a lot about football, but there's a lot of football channels out there. And there's a lot of Broncos fans too. So, you know, if you're a Broncos fan and the algorithm has brought me to you, please put in the comments if you would watch me do football commentary. But I will say, during that live stream, I went and watched all the talking heads, you know, Denver sports and all that. And they all said the same things that I did. And I was saying it during the game. So I feel like I have a fairly decent football acumen. All right, well, the dragonfly, the dragonfly wingman, which I have in my backpack. If you've seen me in the videos with dragonflies, I was doing a review of that, and I was editing that video. Oh, the wireless mic. Sorry, I got totally distracted. It doesn't work. I had to take it back. It was working great. I really loved the sound. It was $130, which is half the price of the DJI, but the menu froze. It was, I don't know, it just, so, you know, 2 days after you buy it, that's not a good sign. So I took it back to Best Buy, and I asked the guy, "Hey, does anybody in here know about these wireless mics?" Because I was really hoping I had found an affordable option. And he said, "No, your best bet's the internet." I'm like, dude, you're standing in a brick and mortar. I mean, I don't know. It just, it surprised me, his sort of lackadaisical response, but I don't know, maybe it shouldn't surprise me because people don't get paid enough generally. And so anyway, let's move back to, if I haven't dropped all the viewers at this point, I just feel like the no perfectionism videos tend to do fairly well, and I wanted to give you some updates. So I was editing the Dragonfly video, Dragonfly Wingman. That's the thing I was reviewing because it's supposed to keep away the deer flies, although it is September now, and I feel like I feel like all the deer flies have evacuated. There's a few mosquitoes, some stragglers, but the fall leaves are coming, so we'll do some more outdoor adventures, I guess. But that's the other thing. I don't know where I want to take this channel because, I mean, I'm going to start walking. At the end of the day, I just want to make people laugh, you know? And I mean, whether that's through stand-up, and I guess I will kind of get into why I quit doing stand-up. And, you know, again, go see my last video if you haven't seen it. But, you know, I spent a lot of my adult years drinking too much, and not all of them, but a lot of them. And, you know, I quit drinking in 2020. I have never felt better. In fact, I have a few jokes about it in some of my shorts. And, but it's true. I lost weight immediately. In fact, I was going to do a video about why you should consider eliminating alcohol from your diet because it messes with so many things. So I wouldn't say I wasted those years because I try to live my life without regrets. And I feel like everything that you've been through up until wherever you are in your life, that is what makes you who you are. So I am excited to get, I guess I should go back to like when I started doing comedy. I actually started doing comedy after I moved to Vermont. Hang on, I think I see someone coming. Okay, false alarm. So there was this little hole in the wall. It was a Vietnamese coffee shop before it became a little comedy club. And it had the brick wall and everything. And, you know, I worked my way up, if you could call it that. I mean, I would hang out at the club. The first time I went down there, I saw an open mic sign. I had no idea this place was there. And I was like, okay, I'll go in. So I watched the first time. And I sat there thinking, I could do this. Not only can I do this, I could do this better. And so I went home and I started writing jokes. And, you know, I did my first set. Oh, I went back the next week. This is a funny story. Well, I don't know, maybe not. Interesting, I guess. I went back the next week I was all ready. You know, I had my notes. I had them memorized, okay? I memorized my sets from the beginning. I never used notes. So, well, mainly because I would probably just sit there and stare at my notes. And so I was really prepared. I was excited. And they had closed that night because Joan Rivers was in town. So I was like, damn you, Joan Rivers. But it was fine because the next time I went, it makes for a better story because the next week I went back, had my set. I invited friends. I don't know, that's stupid. If you're considering doing stand-up for the first time, don't invite your friends. Do not. I mean, actually they were supportive, but you know, I was lucky because it was a good crowd. And the reason it was a good crowd that night was Hannibal Buress was in town. And Buress, is that how you say his last name? Sorry, dude, if I'm mispronouncing that. I'm very particular. Buress or Buress? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. And he brought an audience with him. And so it was, you know, put your number in a hat and everybody picked numbers. And I got picked near the last. So right before I went on, they were like, hey, we got a special guest. So he comes in with his entourage and does a killer set, of course. It was probably all new material because that's what they do when they're on the road is, you know, try out new materials at open mics. So I had to follow him. I had to follow a professional comedian who I believe he was on SNL for a while. Yeah, my first time doing comedy. So, you know, when people say that's brave, yeah, it was brave. It takes a lot of guts to get up there, but if you love it, you know, it makes up for it. I mean, I bombed. I've forgotten entirely what I was going to say in the middle of a set during a contest. That was fun. My friends were there for that one too. Same friends, I think. And Anyway, so I am challenging myself though, because I got really good, I guess. Sorry, I need to continue my story. I got really good, and you know, I would hang out at Levity, and I would pass out flyers, and then eventually the manager asked me to host, and she and I became friends. Carmen Legala, I mean, I've lost touch with her. I mean, we kind of connect through social media, but you should check her out on Instagram. She is genuinely one of the most genuinely funny people I know. And just a good person, and her mom's really sweet. She lives here in Vermont. So, you know, I didn't move to New York City with a lot of the circle of friends, comedy friends that I had at that time, because a lot of people moved away. And so then Levity closed, and, you know, there is a comedy club here now, but I don't know, just something happened. And then I started drinking, and it's just like, there's not really one reason I quit doing comedy, but I would say alcohol probably had some to do with it. Although I would never drink before a set. You know, I was very strict about that. Now later on, I became more lax with that rule. So in any case, I'm challenging myself because of my experience with Josh Johnson and all the things that I said about him in my last video. You know, it really inspires me, the fact that he writes all new material. And, you know, and maybe there are more comedians out there doing that. I don't know. I just haven't seen anyone. So I am going to write all new material because most of my jokes, if you've seen my stand-up, you'll notice that like 2016 and 2022 have some of the same jokes. Yeah, I'm roasting myself. And, you know, it's just, you know, it'd be good to write some new material, I guess. So if you're in the Vermont area, watch out on social media. I'll give you more details. Basically, October 25th, 7 p.m. It's a charity. So please come and support local comedy and help little kids have a better Christmas, because that's what the charity's for. I mean, I'm Jewish, but sure, I'll do a Christmas charity. Let's see, what else was I going to talk about? Oh, so the Dragonfly Wingman video is coming out. If you're new to the channel, I don't even know if did I say my name? My name's Ashley. And I'm just very happy that I'm doing what I love. And, you know, I'm still not getting a ton of views, but I have 105 subscribers. I had 8 3 months ago. So, you know, that's growth. And so if you haven't subscribed, or if you're new here, you know, hit the like button. If you're not ready to subscribe, that's okay. But, you know, you'll be back, because the algorithm will make sure you're back. All right. I think that is pretty much it. Oh, the Dragonfly Wingman. I keep saying I'm talking about that. That video is going to be quite long, but it is essentially what I wanted to do was edit it together and do sort of like a Ron Howard voiceover, like Arrested Development, because I feel like, well, all the videos that are successful, you know, tell a good story. I mean, that's what people want in terms of entertainment. They want a good story. So I love Arrested Development, and, you know, my mom, I grew up watching the Andy Griffith Show over and over, and I can play some Andy Griffith trivia. That is not something I should be proud of, but just kidding, Mom. Anyway, she is watching, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate all my viewers and subscribers. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching these videos. And the Dragonfly Wingman, I think that review is probably going to have 2 parts, but I have to find a good microphone, because to do the voiceover, it's just not going to work with the iPhone. And plus I need to do it in the editing program. All right. Well, if you like the dog videos, if you like anything of mine, or let me know in the comments, like what, I know I haven't done a dog video in a while, but I don't have a dog. So, you know, that might not be so sustainable. All right. Well, please consider subscribing. Watch the next video. I believe it's going to be over here. There's a subscribe button. And I know they changed the YouTube app on the TV, so it's kind of weird especially if you have an Apple TV. Just, you know, be gentle with the remote. Just make sure you hit the like button. That's all I'm saying. All right. Until next time, stay unleashed.